Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Waike in the building. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Maria.
Happy birthday, Mary.
Yes, all focus is
I'm
Waike.
21.
Oh my goodness.
You will never catch me otherwise.
How you do? I love the hair.
Thank you. So I decided to celebrate my
your head
day,
be
go
correct for
African
future.
style.
And you start being African, more African in your outlook
African.
to life.
Yeah. See,
In this your birthday,
Yeah.
I prophesy that Miriam will become more African in her outlook to life.
Hallelujah.
Hey.
Waike is prophesying.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
dear.
don't know. A balanced
Chini
view.
Chini loku ba you're coming
See,
to
this African style is not easier. See, if it was my wig now, I would have just put it on. It took time to do it.
Even when you're sleeping, go.
To turn it around.
How do you sleep?
Exactly.
Kilos.
You have to
I
go
don't
for-
mind them. But the nose ring.
Africa is too high maintenance.
The
I was just
nose
really
ring.
going for African look. You know, sometimes a lot of the things that we have originally African, we look at it in a funny way, like,
Yeah.
oh, that is not right for you to wear.
Yeah.
But I want to make us realize, you know, this is our original African way of just
Beautifying.
dressing up.
Yes.
Yes, so the nose
And you
ring
look
and-
beautiful.
Thank you.
And the rings are just very interesting.
Thank you. You know, I
They're
always
long,
have
long
these.
rings.
Only birthday.
Yeah, you look very... So anything you're doing today?
No, nothing. I have
Zoom
work.
party?
No Zoom party. I've got a lot of
I
work
don't
to
believe
do.
in Zoom
Yeah,
parties
what to
anyway.
do? So you're
But
going
I'm
to
just
work,
happy, you know, we are celebrating another day. I hate to talk about death on birthdays, but you know, this lady's death particularly touched me, that Edie Jones' death. And for me, what touched me was she wasn't even 40 yet. And look at what she had achieved, how she had impacted lives. And for many of us, we are waiting for when we are a certain age, when we get to 50, when we get to 60, then we'll start being kind, then we'll start doing things. You just never know when you will go.
Are you 40
and
yet?
and from then, you know, you just never know when you go. So it's better what you can do now, how you can impact lives, and start doing it today. And you don't have to have a lot of money to do it with your time and your effort and
Are you 40 yet?
I'm 21.
Anyways, but I think also what I learned from RDJ's death was that nobody was talking about how many houses he built, how many cars he owned. Everyone was just talking about the life of impact, how he raised them, how he trained them, how he was selfless, how he gave back. So do what you can, because at the end of the day, that's how people are going to remember you. Nobody's going to remember how many houses you built in your village or that kind of thing. It's irrelevant.
It's very nice.
Doopsie.
Yeah.
Waike, she are good today, Sha.
And okay.
Because you don't have, you're wearing green on blues, and that's very unusual.
Green and blue.
Now your neck piece is green.
Are you?
Nice,
You're
no.
colorblind.
Waike, I'm not
It has a
colorblind.
touch of
It's
green.
green.
It's turquoise. It's turquoise. So is my blouse.
Waike, your blouse is
It's just a
blue.
lighter
No, it also
turquoise.
goes with her.
Your blouse is
Pad.
blue, your necklace
It's turquoise.
is... Okay. Let's go on a break. We'll be right back. Okay, we're going to start with the punch. Panel pros Magu over alleged ownership of Dubai properties. Fear, caution, complaints as airlines resume domestic flights. Luth petitions panel over a failed surgery by cosmetic surgeon. Ondo Assembly suspends 3 anti-impeachment members and leader resigns. 7 killed in explosion on NPDC oil platform. Nigerian students won't resume schools take the WASI, says federal government. Slain IRT corps family sues Malami, demands killer soldiers trial. Okay, let's start with Dr. Anu here, because obviously she's seriously trending.
Yeah.
Okay, you have that story.
Yeah, she had done a liposuction surgery.
Yeah.
And the one that they put fat in the bum. She performed several surgeries on, her name is Nneka.
Miss Nneka, yeah.
Yes. And after about a day, she started having breathing problems, and they took her to one hospital. They didn't have one medical hospital, Odin, General Hospital, and they didn't have the facilities, so they took her to Luth. But they hadn't explained to Luth what her procedures. Yeah. She couldn't breathe. And so they started to treat her. They said she was smelling, her body was, the wounds had become infected, her stomach, the cuts in her stomach and her bum.
They had infused her with 3 liters or some kind of fluid. You know, I mean, just obviously to help to enhance those butt, arm area, and I think the liposuction and all that. But either way, the surgery went wrong.
And even the ones in the arms, they removed fat from the arms as well. Or,
right. So the point is that the surgery went wrong, and now they've called a panel to actually, they've called to investigate. They've called Dr. Anuola Adepoju, I believe, to the panel in Blue to come and explain herself.
Yeah, one of the reasons they were saying is that even after, because of this case, she had been suspended or asked to close her facility.
Yes, but even sealed off.
Yes, but she had been carrying on surgeries even after. But she was responding in her defense. She says, as far as she knows, the surgery went well, but when she took the patient to Luth, they did not give her the adequate care that she needed because they were already judging them for what they had done. So, because she had because she had performed the surgery and the patient was a patient of cosmetic surgery, the people at the hospital did not give her the care that she needed, and so everything that happened to her happened at Luth and not from her.
She's claiming she walked into the hospital. She walked into the hospital with her legs. That's how come she died. It's Luth that are to blame.
Okay, let's move on. Is there another story in Punch you want to take?
Yeah, plastic surgery.
We certainly do. Yeah. Is there another topic on Punch?
Yeah, there's a politician, Christopher Oga, in Nasarawa State, who's been arrested for defiling 2 kids, aged 12 and 13. So he lures them into his compound to, fetch water, when they fetch water from the well. And they said this is not the first time he's even been arrested for this, for defiling children. And, the funny thing is that he is the local chairperson. Sorry, he's the chairman of APC Obi Ward. So my mind is, if he's been arrested before, how did he get re-elected into office? How was he not immediately flagged down for being a sex offender, And anyway, the police commissioner in that state has said that they would make sure that they take this to the last.
Okay, let's move on to The Nation. Margot panel widens probe, top EFCC NFIU officials to testify. APC screens Akeredolu, E.G. Adelami and others. Kwara officials in isolation as COS is buried. FG pulls GSS3, SS3 peoples out of WASI. Okay, I'm a bit confused with this education story because one second the Minister of State tells us that schools are open. The next second, the minister himself is now saying, no, they cannot open. There's a problem with communication. Not just within both ministries, but within all the states. So the ministers are not communicating adequately to the commissioners of education of their states because one second the commissioners are saying, okay, resume. We're going to resume. All the states are picking dates. Some resumed a couple of days ago. Others have said August 4th, based on this same federal government directive. Now they're now saying, oh, it's cheating. You just wake up one morning and say, okay, open.
Okay, they've not decided. They've not decided that. Oh no, it's not safe anymore. You can't open. And WAEC, they cannot hold these exams with because they have to remove all the unity schools. All the schools under the federal government are not going to take part in this.
But WAEC is not a Nigerian examination; it's West Africa, so we don't have control. It's either we're saying our children are going to be exempted, or the states still have a choice. My worry is that Miss Minister cannot wake up every morning and be changing things.
Well, the minister is saying that we heard the Minister for State wrong.
Possibly heard him wrong. Because he's not even sure.
Heard him wrong. But also, you remember that the state has jurisdiction over the state's education.
Right.
So the federal government is advising and recommending that do not do that because the unity schools will be left at home. And he says if WAEC goes on to have their exams, he will see which children will write the exams because they must first keep the children safe. And it's asking state governments to do the same.
They don't have to do that. Moving on to Daily Sun. Margot gets 2 days to prepare legal defense. Church of Satan demolished in Abia. Leader arrested. FG makes U-turn on school's resumption. Impeachment. Ondo Assembly suspends Deputy Speaker to others. Anambra Guba government plans meeting with monarchs to endorse zoning. And 7 die in NNPC explosion at Benin River Valve Station. Okay, which story?
I took the Magu.
Okay, go ahead, Magu.
Okay, so we know that he's still being, I think they said...
being questioned. The person that wasn't arrested is being questioned, yeah?
Yeah, he's being questioned, and they said, I think it was 10 hours the last time. And that new allegations are being, you know...
leveled against him.
Yeah, are being leveled against him. And some of the new allegations are properties that he has in Dubai, about allegedly a 39 billion naira that was diverted from the recovered loot, sale of oil tankers, about 157. You know, they talked about people who are called Magu boys who are able to get away with, you know, doing some things. So it looks really bad for him, but he has his own lawyers who will be coming to defend these things.
See, it looks bad for him, but my problem is this matter had been tabled before the Senate 5 years ago. The Senate, the 8th Senate House had refused to confirm him. Why have they waited for 5 years to charge him?
Maybe these are also new allegations. Maybe what was
remember that time there was a letter that they sent to the Senate.
Yes,
based on this letter,
yes,
we cannot confirm you, yes, because you have cases to answer.
Yes, the Minister of Finance at the time, Adeosun, actually raised those allegations and asked him to answer, to tell us exactly how certain funds were being alleging that some certain funds were diverted.
Yeah.
However, with these allegations, in addition to that, is where the issue is, and he has been given 2 days to get back to consult his lawyers and then respond to the panel. We'll see what happens.
Is he still
in the meantime
in arrestive custody?
In the meantime,
is he in custody?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not sure he's still in custody because he's been allowed to go and consult his lawyers. I don't know.
No,
the Church of Satan. Who has this? Who has that story? Okay, the Church of Satan in Abia.
Please, I didn't get to
what happened was that. They said, you see, he was initially really accepted into the community because he used to give out, he was employing the young people, buying them bikes, and they would then have to make money and then pay him. So he was helping the community for many years. So I don't know what exactly happened recently that they now totally attacked the man and shut him down. So then the community was saying that he's a bad influence.
So while he was helping, but then it was still under the aegis of the Church of Satan.
So they did a 316 on him, and I'm not sure exactly what caused it, but obviously he was the church was ransacked and he was pulled down and was arrested, and that is exactly what that story was saying. Moving on now.
Collecting his money.
Yes, I think it was in
Satan is not paying enough, or what?
He calls himself Satan. He tells Father, that is what is popularly called. And he has a lot of satanic features in his church. And he calls his church Church of Satan. Hey, listen, freedom of expression. Moving on to Vanguard. Day 3, more posers for Magu. Schools not reopening anytime soon, says federal government. Genco's discos have failed Nigerians. 13 soldiers, 17 Boko Haram ISWAP terrorists killed in Borno attacks. COVID-19, NCAA stops Aero, Azman, Maz Air, and other airlines as other airlines resume. More than 600 firms bid for Nigeria's 57 marginal oil fields. Okay, so flights resumed yesterday. Who was that story?
Yes, I have the story. It's mainly, they were just, from the reports, we were talking to people who had to travel yesterday. Most of them said, well, they didn't think that it made any sense for them to have come as early as they did. They're talking about the process is much slower to get on the flight, but that they're keeping to the guidelines and making sure that everybody follows the guidelines. They didn't have any problems with the first flights that went ahead. And
so the 3-hour thing was not necessary?
Yeah, that's why a lot of the customers are saying that it wasn't really necessary for them.
That's because the place wasn't full.
Yeah.
Wait till people they are
become more comfortable
and they start traveling. Then you will see that the 3-hour thing will be more than necessary.
So we've heard from the
traveling. Then you will see that the 3-hour thing will be more than necessary.
So we've heard from the doves. Moving on to Daily Trust.
You have to wait 14 days.
Right. Confusion as presidency silent on Magu's probe and replacement. Politician caught defiling 2 girls in Nasarawa. Oh. Okay, that's the only story that's different there. Anybody has that story?
Oh, do we have the Boko Haram story?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so it's been reported that 20 of our soldiers were ambushed and killed by Boko Haram in Borno State. although the military is not, you know, the military has a different story. They think, they said our Nigerian soldiers killed 17 Boko Haram terrorists. But some of the information gotten on ground shows that our military are actually killed, and their corpses have been evacuated. Some of them are in the military facilities getting treatment. So obviously there's a war going on.
Which ones?
And I don't know if
ones that were killed are getting treatment, or?
Yes, so there's one side of the story, but
Injured.
our military is saying, you know, not talking much about that, but talking about the Boko Haram terrorists that were killed by the Nigerian military. So I think the Nigerian military is maybe trying to...
Protecting its image.
Yeah, I don't know if it's its image or protecting us in a bit, not tell us exactly what is happening so that we have more confidence in the fight against...
I believe this has been happening for a while.
Totally agree.
I've seen so many videos of soldiers crying and...
Yeah, lamenting.
You know?
And once they do that, they get court-martials. That's all we can take on Front Page Review. It's just in Thursday. When we come back, we'll discuss this new proposed bill, sexual harassment. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we talk about sexual harassment, we'll talk about the other topic of this teenager who was seen opening foodstuff in his parents' kitchen and pouring them on the floor while ignoring those trying to calm him down and get some reason. According to his mother, he came home, started demanding some things from her, including his P21 passport. He, however, went into a rage when she didn't give it to him. Just yesterday, the boy in question replied on social media, saying his mother attacked him first, but hers wasn't captured on video. So the question is, how do we Nigerians parent or be a parent in the abroad? So parenting in the abroad is practically is our focus this morning. And we'd like to open our phone lines to those of us living outside the country. Share some of your experiences with us, how you're raising your children, especially when they get into that teenage mode. Let's hear your thoughts, your experiences, because some of us already have these experiences. But we'd like to hear what your challenges are and see if we can prefer some solutions going forward. Now, I found this story interesting. Initially, obviously, many people were outraged when they saw the video that, how kind of rubbish kind of spoiled child is this? But when the boy now responded, saying that he has been under constant threat by his mother in the house, and unfortunately, he's been moved from one foster care to another within a month. Okay, so you can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. I would like to start with YK, because you have a child abroad, and obviously there are challenges, especially between that thin line between our culture and the rules and laws that guide parenting abroad. So that thin line, lots of parents abroad cross it. And that's where I would like to hear your thoughts. And if you even know anybody who's had an experience like that, please share.
Well, you see, the thing is, the difference between the African parents, because I'm not really sure about the rest of Africa, but Nigeria, because I'm Nigerian, or I live in Nigeria. I'm African, but I live in Nigeria.
You're Nigerian.
Yeah. The way we bring up our children here and the way they bring them up abroad, you know, it is, I mean, a child in England can tell his mom or her mom, shut up, and the mom too will shut up. You know that you cannot try it in Nigeria. You must collect that hot slap.
Oh, of course.
You must collect it. Now, but there's another thing here that I've noticed. In England, you are encouraged to be independent at a very early age. By 16, they start to collect rent from you. If you are staying in your parents' house, you are paying rent. You are assisting. You are becoming a fully fledged adult. By 18, you are not calling your mommy again. You are saying, Mom. You are paying your way in that house, or you go and get your own house. Here, especially a girl, If you are 30, go, you are still living in your mother's house, your mother and your father's house, you are still dependent. Even if you have a job, you are not really forced to, unless your parents need the money, you're not forced to pay your way. So now, this child...
This is a teenager, so he...
Yeah, he is... Because if you read his response, he's saying he wanted food, they didn't give him food, he wanted this, he went to the child services, they had put a guard because his mother was abusing him aggressively, she was threatening him, you know. So you can see that she's doing the Nigerian way.
They're abroad.
Yeah.
And he is thinking in the abroad way.
That I am being threatened.
And he's not that discipline of the night. Yeah, because he's still eating his mommy's food. He's not paying rent. They're still paying his fees.
So he said something about, oh, I am eating her food. I acknowledge that. So in his own mind, he feels he's eating her food. That's the foreign context.
Yeah,
because you are in the house. You are meant to eat her food. So he still feel like, yes, he shouldn't be eating her food. But the point is that, why does he feel threatened? Is the woman being too aggressive? Is it right? What do you feel based on his response? Do you think she was even right in the way she raised this young man? Let me hear your thoughts, Mariam.
Okay, so me, the first time I saw this video, I felt sorry for both of them. I felt sorry for a young man who obviously has anger issues and is not able to comport himself when he finds himself frustrated. Because I'm thinking, he grows up, he goes to school, his lecturer frustrates him. Is he going to throw tantrums there? He starts a job, his boss frustrates him. Is he going to throw tantrums there? But obviously for me, I thought that there was a parenting angle to this. Nigerian parents, you know, for many Nigerians, we have weathered the storm of our parenting, of our parents' parenting, you know. We became tough. It was tough being raised by Nigerian parents. It can be very critical. You know, everything you do, your critique, and you're supposed to accept that critique from love. But then you find yourself now in a foreign environment. Your children are mixing up with children, Oyinbo children, where when they go to their house, the mom will ask, have you, you know, she's almost trying to...
Serving him.
Yes, and then you're allowed to also speak your mind with these Oyinbo parents. In Nigeria, you don't speak your... Do you have a mind? You know, you don't speak your mind.
You know,
so now you find yourself, you know, where you're comparing your mother's parenting style with what you find where you are. And it seems like she's being aggressive. She's being abusive. And the other challenge for the Nigerian mother is, so you bring up your child this way, but you don't have the other thing, which is you beat the child into submission. So you scream at him, you critique him, but then you cannot force it on him. Like here in Nigeria, if you critique you, whatever, you still have that final whip to whip him into submission. But then you find yourself abroad and you can't do that final whipping. Because if you get to that point, then you're physically abusing your child. You know, so you find that you're struggling to maintain...
balance that.
Yeah,
because I have an aunt in New York, and her daughter had called the cops on her. And I remember my brother really got involved in this. They called the cops on her. She said that her mother was harassing her, was beating her, you know, the same, almost similar threats. And she was actually arrested. And they were ready to take that girl to foster parenting. I mean, the social workers just took her away. And it became a serious mess. Eventually, the child obviously regretted her actions, you know, and the family now had to step in to see what they can do to get custody of this child. Because her mother was a disciplinarian. We know how everybody feared her. If I mention her name, everybody knows who she is. But at the same time, how do we as parents in living outside the country know where to stop when you do the aggressive beating you to submission and knowing that there are laws that protect this child from abuse? These are the child rights law we're trying to effect. We have it here, but we're still trying to say you cannot beat your help. You cannot beat your children anyhow. We're still trying to even make people understand that. But the laws are there. There's a system in place that protects that child. Yes.
Where does the beating, where is the law? Not where is the law, but when does the law affect you and I? Never. If you slap your child.
No, it doesn't.
Because if you slap your child in England, that's abuse. If you just give your child a hot slap in England, that's abuse. Here, would you call it abuse? Would you slap your child?
Of course, easily.
You see, so
the question is that if you choose to go and live over there, you made a choice to relocate. So shouldn't you make the choice that, okay, now that I'm here, I can't be slapping my child anyhow. That threat I grew up with, I should have left it at Murtala Mohammed Airport. Now that you are living in whatever country, you know the laws of the land and you know how to raise your children. But we don't want to do that. We're Nigerians. We're not Americans. We are Nigerians.
So you know what I see is that the Oyinbo children, let's not make it seem like all Oyinbo children are badly behaved. We have Oyinbo children that are well behaved. I mean, we see all the great things that they are achieving. And it's because the way they are being raised usually does not need that beating. They are being spoken to. So you speak your mind. You are first of all recognized. For me, it seems that you're first of all recognized as a child, as a human being. You're just mini-sized, but you're a human being. So you're given respect, you earn it, and you know you're giving respect back with a child. A child can voice their displeasure to their parents and have a conversation. Here in Nigeria, you cannot, if you're upset, swallow your, you know, how you feel and keep it there. Then maybe when you grow up, you can now take it out on your children. So Nigerians have to understand that if you don't want to have where you have to beat the person, then you have to do the parenting style where the child is a human being like you and you're having a conversation.
But let me take this call from Ayo. Ayo, are you there from Manchester? Good morning, Ayo.
I just want to say that, good morning, everyone. I just want to say that the way we train children abroad is quite different from how we were raised up in Nigeria, especially those of us who lived all our life in Nigeria and now moved abroad. We have different approaches when it comes to treating children. I think the problem we have here is because we want to bring in those home training we got, and that doesn't work here. We need to work with children here as if they are friends, as if they are colleagues. And in that picture, video you just showed, of course, that boy was, he must have been frustrated by parenting, you know, and that is why we just need to learn how to do parenting, do their own parenting here, and we want to compare that to how we do. Yes, there's some parts of our own that still work here. I'm not saying they don't work, but then let's behave the way they are behaving here and making sure that...
Okay, we're going to commercial break because one of the reasons why Nigerian parents abroad behave the way they behave, they don't want the children turning out like some of the children they see abroad.
This Oyinbo, well-behaved Oyinbos that Miriam is talking about, we see the way they behave, and we do not want our children. A lot of Nigerians send their children back home for secondary education.
Yes.
Because of that behavior that they see.
Yes. So the perception that is created in the movies are totally different from the reality. When you actually see this, you don't want your children ending up like that. So that's why they want to bring in that discipline. But there's still that issue of how do you control yourself? We'll discuss that after the break. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So as I said before the break, one of the issues is that a lot of Nigerian parents don't want their children ending up like many of the foreign children they see. I think also it's also dependent on the kind of community you find yourself in England. So if you're living in maybe certain areas in England, you don't want your children to have the mentality of the non-Nigerian children. So you want to instill that Nigerianness in them. And that's where there's a bit of a friction.
Can we be specific about this thing that we do not like about Oyinbo children? Can we be specific? What are those things? Because a lot of things we see from the movies.
I will give you an example. Yeah. When I'm in England and in Nigeria, I always know a Nigerian person when they approach me. Maybe they are selling things or they are doing network. They are salespeople, but they are on the... anytime a Nigerian or an African approaches me, I know because they always say, Auntie, I have something to show you, Auntie. Oyinbo will never tell me that. Oyinbo will say, hello, oh, how are you? I want to...
Okay.
A Nigerian will always address, because they have instilled it from the house that anybody that's your senior is an auntie.
Or that respect.
That respect.
That's okay. We naturally have.
Let me tell you my own experience. Yes. When I went, the people that would immediately get up for you to sit down are Oyinbo children. You get in an older lady at the Oyimbos. They don't say much, they don't say anything to you, but they do it. I was with my son then, we would use the stroller. sometimes there are steps, so there's no lift in that particular station. They will just help you carry, they don't say anything to you, they don't ask you, they just help you carry your stroller down the stairs and move on. They don't even wait for you to say thank you. So is what we're afraid of, is it that we just don't want, is it the saying to us, auntie, auntie, that is more important to us than the behavior? They may not say to you, auntie, but they will greet you hello, and in English language, that is greeting.
Okay, maybe it is the submissiveness.
Yes, that is what. So why is it so important for your child to?
Why in a community where there are gay lesbianism community where your children have that freedom to choose, you can decide today I'm going to a gay club. These are things that are the restrictive parenting of an African parent who stops you from thinking it's okay to go and smoke or to go to a strip club. Those are things that the average foreigner, to them, is the rite of passage into adulthood. You do these kind of things, and some of them come back to normal, others don't. So it's that mentality a lot of Nigerian parents don't want their children to have. They want them to have that grounded African thinking where, listen, don't even go there. So if we don't live there. And I'd like to take this call from the UK, I think. I'm not sure the name, but I have another call from the UK. Please, thanks for calling. Go ahead, please. Oh, we lost the call. I do apologize. See, yes, YK.
There's like the Nigerian lingua. I posted something, I don't know if any of you read it. This family member of mine posted it on our WhatsApp chat, and I posted it to you guys, and there is rice at home. Yes. If your mother tells you there is rice at home, what does it mean?
Yeah.
You know, an average like West Indian child will not know
what that means.
If they're just okay. That is
YK. Put it.
Don't ask me to stop anywhere to eat.
Where should I put this? Nigerian parent, what would she say?
She will say,
put it on my head.
Put it on my head.
Yeah.
That means be asking me stupid questions.
Go and figure it out.
You don't know where to put it.
Why?
But that is how we talk. my daughter, I sent the quiz to my daughter. She did it. She got 13 out of 13.
Because you are a Nigerian from
Abuja. Victor, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead, please. You're live.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you notice the Nigerian children, we have this kind of like, our parents have this kind of mentality like, if you train up a child, it will go in the fear of the Lord. So that's why they are always, training these children to grow well. So regardless of, even when they go abroad, just like what Anthony said, they will always want to, when they see an elder, they want to like, okay, this is an aunt.
Thank you very much for calling. Going back to these boys, I mean, I'd like us to focus on the boy a little bit. Because he did say that she slaps him. She threatens him with knives, throws things at him. This woman also has anger issues. Now, I wasn't there, so I don't know, but I'm thinking as a parent growing up too, we had that. Somebody just throw slippers in your face. Get out, For us, it's normal. You could be.
In fact, the fun is in how fast you dodge it. Hey! Like, Right. So we don't take it. We're not upset. We're not upset by it because.
Parents, sorry, continue.
Okay, we're not upset by it in Nigeria. So many Nigerians watching him or reading this, like, he must be crazy.
Let me tell you why he's crazy, Mariam. Because he has the option of calling social services to bring guards to his own mother's house.
So
so you are calling social services because I'm trying to discipline you the way I know how.
Yeah.
Now, as a mother, maybe I'm a bit aggressive for the culture, but at the same time, shouldn't there be some kind of that's the question I want today. Okay. Where do we draw that line? From giving your child an igbarun to having a conversation with your child, which is the best approach?
What's making me laugh? I'm sitting and I'm laughing. When your mother will tell you to do something, and you don't want to do it, but you can't tell her, you can't do it. Maybe she has called you about 10 times already, and then you just start to dance.
YK, he's dancing.
Where she can't see you.
Yeah. Okay, yes. Stop. Frustrated.
You will complain. You will frustrate yourself. You will come out of that frustration by yourself. You will fight. Then you will change your face and you go and meet her. Yes,
Mama. We have the condition.
Pretentious.
Yes.
When you do it, and then your mommy comes and catches you.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing?
What's this dance?
You just freeze.
So you are annoyed.
Let me take this call from UAE, I believe. Thanks for calling. Are you there?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, good
Go
morning.
ahead, please.
Yeah, my name is Peter. I'm calling from Dubai.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
I'm a first-time caller.
Welcome to the show.
All right, thank you. Actually, to my own point of view, I think parenting is a continuous process. Okay, and you see parents that they have been living their lives in Nigeria, and by all means they have means to go there. Okay, they go along with their children. Now they have to know something for a fact that you are in a new system. You see people that left Lagos, okay, that was living in Lagos before. When you see the police officer, he hardly respect that person. There's no orderliness when you go to bank. But when they travel, they are able to comply. Okay. When you get to a country, you see this is the system. This is a new system for you. Then you have to stick on, because, as I said, parenting is a continual process. There's some things that, like me, for example, that my parents did for me, that I feel as an abuse. My dad used to beat me like as now I got to know it as an abuse when I was opportune to travel out of the country. That doesn't really make me to be a very good student. You know, I've been a very good student at my own personal decision. At the point I talk to myself, I don't need this. I need to face my studies squarely. But my dad will say, you see, you are not passing this course. You are going to go and learn bricklayer. And I'm seeing my good friends are doing fine. So to me, Nigerian parents have to see these things in a very new dimension. Like, I'm in the UK, I'm in America. This is how it works. Parenting is about communication. Everything is not about beating. Even if my dad beats me a lot and I see things that I cannot even tell him. But I stopped doing those things. Nobody told me to do that, but I stopped doing that myself. So this is my contribution, and I think we should educate our people abroad here.
Thank you very much.
You're Nigerian. This is how you're.
Right.
You know, a lot of things, yeah, okay, he's just saying how parenting style here in Nigeria is different from when you're in America or abroad. And for me, I feel that we should even stop making it about being in America or abroad, but that we should recognize what we are doing wrong and change it, and then we can maintain what it is that we're doing right. You know, he made mention of how here in Nigeria, you don't stay on a queue. But there, nobody is there to make sure that they do. Do you understand?
That's a different issue.
No, that is where it starts. Mariah, how an adult today was a child you know, there was a time he was a child. He was parented a certain way that made him grow up to the adult that he is today.
So you shouldn't stay on the queue.
No, so my own is that I feel their type of parenting allows for mistakes. Our own type of parenting does not allow us to make mistakes. So I think a lot of us, we see that teenage years where Oyinbo teenagers are making lots of mistakes, finding their way. But Nigerian teenagers are more well-behaved because they know that at the end of every mistake is beating and criticisms. So that is what we see. But also I wanted to say that our kind of parenting brings about anger issues. He can call child services because the government has provided that. The government has told them, anybody that abuses you, it does not matter if the person is a stranger or a parent, call this number. Here, we have to now explain to the child, when someone outside does it, it's abuse. When someone inside does it, then you have to swallow it. And it now cuts across every form of abuse in our country. We need to tell ourselves the truth.
We have to be fair on our culture, because we've seen Nigerians who were raised abroad, and they even within the community, they distinguished themselves because their parents were firm. They gave them that Nigerian raising such that they didn't make them totally blend into the system, such that they are different. Even the Oyinbo children, even the foreigners, they don't accomplish up to even 50% of what these Nigerian children accomplish, just because they actually they choose to go to school. There, you can choose not to go to school. You can say after secondary school, I'm done. But because you have a Nigerian training, you know that after secondary school, the right things to go to university. So they have that African race, and then they are doctors. We all celebrate the fact that Nigerians abroad are very educated. They are doing very well because of the way we raise those children abroad.
So that is why I say it has to be a balance. Pick that thing about Nigerianness that is positive and blend it with that part of the world where you are, and you have results like this. These people that you're talking about have done so well. If they were being beaten in America, they would have called child services on their parents. The thing is, also, Nigerians, when you go abroad, most of us come from a certain, the people that travel come from a certain background, where your mates go to school, they go to university anyway. When you go abroad, financially, you may not be at the same position you were in Nigeria, but the values of that position that you had in Nigeria goes with you. So you come from a family where people go to school, people go to university, people end up being doctors and lawyers. It does not go away because you have gone to a poorer community abroad, where people in that community usually do not go to school. Do you understand?
Right. Let me take this call from Fumi Ikoyi. Good morning, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Mariah.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm trying to contribute to what you're talking about,
Yes,
parenting
please.
abroad.
Yes. Go ahead, you're live, please.
Oh, I'm live. Okay. Yeah, parenting abroad, the culture affects us abroad. In Nigeria, there's a lot of culture. It's parenting by community, household, and family members.
Right.
But abroad, it's not so. The discipline is different from our own discipline. The discipline is more of conversation, talking to the children, and like discussion. You don't just act. And that's where parents who already have the Nigerian culture and background, we find it difficult to put it together because we grow up in a form of beating, slapping, neighbors, acting together to discipline us. But abroad, it's just about you and your nuclear family. And you have to listen more to the children. So we find it difficult to adjust, especially when we migrants from Nigeria relocate to US or UK, and then we still want to behave like parents and the way we were brought up.
Right.
So there's a lot of conflict in parenting abroad and too much freedom for the children. So at the end of the day, it's difficult to blend it.
Right.
And when the children missed it, you know, there's a place for them to go, which is the jail.
All right. Thank you very much for me.
There's this Nigerian comedian actress, and she is talking about her Nigerian mother. And she says when she told her mother that she wanted to be a comedian, she wanted to be an actress, she said her mother didn't hear, "I want to be an actress."
Yeah.
So you want to prostitute yourself all over the world?
Yes, I know.
That's what the mother heard as a Nigerian. Because in Nigeria, if you are not a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, you haven't started going to school. Oh. You know, that's one of the. So that's why you have in America. Look, there was one survey I saw that 90-something people, graduates came out of medical school in Harvard. 40 were Nigerians, something like that, you know. So you must be a doctor.
That's why that's why I said I admire the trend of Nigerians abroad, because I think for those who are able to blend it well, they get the best because they know how to discipline. I know my brother. I lived with my brothers for heaven's sakes, and I know that I got to him when I was 15 years old. I left at the age of 24. So at that age, he felt that okay, this girl is becoming an adult. I wanted to start doing all the hanging. If it's alcohol you want to drink, it's in the house. He showed me the fridge. Drink it, but don't drink it outside. He will let you drink it at home. So he didn't give me that freedom to just do all I want to do. When I was 21, my friends didn't take me to a strip club. He allowed us to go to the strip club. But after that, that's your right of passage. After that, that's it. I knew that I had that leash on me. But my friends didn't have that leash. They didn't understand that we can't just go anywhere. You can't just hang out. Because I knew my brother. I didn't want to disappoint my brother. I didn't want to disappoint my parents that I left in Nigeria either. So that mentality helped me throughout. So the point is that I understand the Nigerians living abroad, the difficulty, knowing that your children don't have an abroad up there. They don't have a home option. I had an open home option. I'm going home. They don't have a home option. This is it. They are home. So how do I raise them to ensure that they don't get into drugs? They don't get that liberty to just become gay and say, okay, yes, I'm different. Because I had that phase in my life. So I've shared it to you. I thought I was gay at some point. I was a girl. I just felt I had my accent. I looked out. I just felt like the boys did not like me. And I started hanging out with the gay community. There was a lady, her name was Sarah. She was the head of the gay lesbians in school. She was at the top floor. That was her room. People feared her. And I used to go there and hang out with her. Her name was Susan. So I had that phase. My brother had to slap it out of me. Then I came home, started dancing with the baggy jeans and Abori Okwe. he had to slap it. I remember him beating me as an adult in the US. Are you okay? When my mother sent me cream, I wanted to go, come in, lady. They look nice. What's all this rubbish? He took it, went to the fridge, poured it out. I had a leash. So the point is that blending that culture is the issue.
I get it, and he was able to use that. I don't know what he does, how he does with his own children, but I feel that he's able to use that technique on you because you have the foundation of the Nigerian technique.
Exactly.
If you were just fresh born there,
yes.
Slapping you would be a problem. He will now have to use the American technique to talk to the person. You know, some of your friends that you say you may have hung out with and things like that, I'm sure some of them too have ended up well. You know, they were allowed this. I think there's something that we don't take seriously in Nigeria, which is we do not understand the importance of making your own mistakes. That if a child does not make it in their youth, sadly, sometimes that child will make those mistakes when they become adults. You find some people that say, when they were a teenager, this guy was not like this, so he never used to drink, he never used to smoke. But the moment he leaves his family's circle, he's doing all these things that his family do not recognize him. You hear some people say, my first drink was my dad that gave it to me. We sat and we had a drink. Nigerians that drink, most of them learnt it from outside. Do you understand? That smoke, learnt it from outside. Some people say, we had this drink with my dad and I realized it wasn't for me, or we had the conversation, it was not for me. But we let our children learn things from outside and then blame them. I mean, there's a lot we need to learn differently here.
When your parent comes, maybe your first boyfriend comes to the house, your father will sit down with him. What do you want to drink? Then he will say, oh, I won't mind whiskey. So it's whiskey you want to drink. You know, he's trapping you.
Yeah.
If a Nigerian says, do you have two heads? If your mother says, does she have two heads?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Why not do as well as the other person?
Right. Anyway, we have to wrap up on this, unfortunately, but our hearts go out to the families in the U.S. I mean, we know it's not easy blending these cultures, but at the same time, I think I'd like to take from what the person from UAE said. You have to, you're in a new community. Yes, you have a foundation from Africa, from Nigeria, but ensure that there are laws guiding and protecting children. Parenting is defined by the law. So you have to also adhere to that.
And just find a way to blend it.
Yes.
Blend your Nigerian way with the laws that obtain there. That's all.
Okay, that's all we can take on this. When we come back, this sexual harassment bill that's about to be passed, we'll discuss it after the break. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So moving on now, a bill that seeks to protect students in the nation's tertiary institutions was passed for the third reading in the Senate. According to the report, actions such as whistling, sexual compliment, or even winking at a lady are now offenses. Joining us on the show is the chairman of the Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters, Honorable Okoyemi Bamide, who actually sponsored this bill. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. How are you?
Very good. So, are you saying that a man cannot wink at a woman in the university anymore now? They were accusing him of sexual harassment.
Well, I think it goes beyond that. You wink. It will all depend on how you do it and how it is conceived by the person at whom you are winking. I mean, the whole essence of this bill is to prevent inappropriate behavior. And I know it is a very subjective thing.
Exactly.
But then there's a definition box. Unfortunately, the definition box itself is a definition.
We're having connection issues.
It's a wink.
Okay.
So we're not going to give a new definition to winking. I mean, winking is as defined, you know, I mean, in the various dictionaries. But like I said,
it is more about trying to prevent inappropriate behavior. So if a lady in the tertiary institution, also identifies winking as one of the series of, sets of misbehavior exhibited by an educator, then of course it becomes part of our own evidence.
No. Go ahead.
Okay. If a lady identifies winking as maybe they're just walking on the corridor and and the lecturer just thinks, oh,
you look nice.
She looks nice. Hi, and then gives her a wink and moves on. Then she reports him and says, oh, he was harassing me sexually.
How does she prove that?
How can she prove that? How can she, and how can he say, look, he was innocent. I just thought she looked nice.
Exactly. Well, as you know, our court would always adopt the standard of a reasonable man. In other words, what is winking and at what point does it become offensive to a reasonable man? In this situation, is the lady in question that will be able to describe, the manner of the winking. And this is not new. Let me also add that what this bill has attempted to do and has achieved is to propose an amendment to the existing Act on Sexual Harassment. So this is not a new addition to the bill. It has always been a part of the law. And I think what is most important is for all of us to really understand the objectives of this bill. Basically, which is to prohibit the offense of sexual harassment of students in our tertiary institutions and to criminalize the act of neglect or failure of administrative heads of tertiary education institutions to address complaints of sexual harassment within a specified period of time. These are the new additions, to the existing law.
Senator, the bill is really quite specific, with the things that could be determined as sexual harassment. I would like to know what informed these, making it so specific like this.
Well, because a lot of time it's difficult for the victims to prove, their case. And unless the law becomes more specific, because when you have a law that is nebulous, or for whatever reason that is so vague, and the burden of proving the guilt, is on the person who is alleging it, as it is in our criminal adjudication system, then it becomes very difficult if the law itself is not as specific as possible. And our hope is that at the end of the day, nobody will even get punished under this law because it is meant to be a deterrent. And if no one commits this offense, then it's not even going to be an issue. But if some people still feel, they cannot do without it, and they continue to make our tertiary institutions, so much a non-conducive environment, then the law will have to take its course. And where that happens, you have to make it easier for victims to be able, to prove their case.
Senator, in a situation where a lecturer legitimately falls in love with a student, this is consensual, they're both adults, and they plan to get married.
Yes.
Was that considered in composing this bill?
Yes, that's part of the new clauses we have introduced. That will be itself a defense, to an allegation of sexual harassment. Marriage is a defense.
Okay.
Except where such a marriage purportedly is to a minor, anyone that is below age 18, then there's strict liability. That would be a per se offense. And because it is deemed that someone below the age of 18 is not equipped, to mentally give a consent.
Okay, Senator, just one more thing concerning this marriage. I was talking of how specific the bill is, but when it comes to marriage, it says Clause 5 provides that for purposes of offenses created in Clause 4 of this bill, it shall be a defense that the educator and student are legally married. Shouldn't it be legally married to each other? Because I feel some very smart lawyers may want to walk around this. Legally married to each other, or it doesn't, interpretations.
Well, I mean, that they are married. They are married. If they are married, husband and wife.
To each, okay.
Sir, still on this marriage.
Yes.
They meet each other at the university, and then he proposes. They fall in love. He proposes. They're not yet married, but they plan to get married. Yes. Will he be charged with sexual harassment? They're not yet married, though, but they plan to.
Well, please remember again that this law comes into effect upon a complaint by the victim. So if there is no such complaint because they are both in love with each other and nobody has said, I'm being harassed, then the law is not activated.
Okay. Senator, it talks about the punishments that you can get if you are found guilty.
Yes.
Could you please, could you please sort of highlight these punishments and fines for us? Well,
punishment is actually in two ways. One, for the victim, if found guilty, then the other one has to do with the university administrator, the school administrator. If you fail to deal with this matter, as at when due, because part of the problem too is that a lot of our school administrators just don't do anything about it. Some people will tell you it's because they don't want to offend their colleagues, the other lecturers. So basically, as to the punishment, the bill is providing for a penalty. That's in section 10 or clause 10 of the bill is providing for a punishment of for imprisonment, for a period of 14 years, or a payment of a fine.
Now, in a situation where,
or both.
Okay, in a situation where the lecturers are being falsely accused, or this concocted story of rape against the lecturer, maybe for different reasons, is the lecturer being protected by this bill?
Yes, we also introduced a clause, which is basically to protect the lecturer. That at the end of the day, if a lecturer is tried and is found not to be guilty and is discharged and acquitted on the basis of the fact that it was driven by false allegation, then of course there's a clause for punishment, which also could include expulsion from the tertiary institution itself.
Shouldn't it be commensurate with? Okay, go ahead, Mikey.
So, sir, I just want to commend you, sir, for even looking at this, coming up with this bill, because I think it's important that our students are protected. Now, boys too are abused.
Yes.
Have you in what way are you going to protect them?
Well, they are protected under the same law. Because we have tried to do it in such a way that it covered, both gender, in recognition of the fact that it could be either way, even though one is much more prevalent in our society as it is, unfortunately. But it's the same thing that would apply.
Okay, so what's the status of the bill right now? We know both houses have passed it. We're waiting for the presidential assent, correct? Or when do we see that the bill will be actually passed into law?
Well, once we're done with all that we need to do in the National Assembly, including the conferencing, to be sure that both chambers are on the same page, the next thing will be to communicate it to Mr. President, and hopefully, getting an assent to this should be timeless, and we don't envisage any problem in that regard. And thank you for your commendation, really. I will be taking it on behalf of, one, the major sponsor of the bill, Senator Ovie Ogmagege, and all the other 106 other co-sponsors one of the signatures. Because more than 7 signatures one with this bill because of its importance and the need for all of us to protect our daughters, our sisters, you know, or our women, especially.
And our sons, too.
In the tertiary, and our sons. Thank you so much. Our sons and brothers in the tertiary institutions.
Thank you very much. It's been great having you on the show.
Really, my pleasure. And I want to thank you, ladies, for the great job you are doing for this country. We are all proud of you. And your producer, Dollar Court, said to me this morning, we need to talk to you so that you'll be blessed among women. And I know, blessed am I among women.
Okay, before I let you run off very quickly, is castration being considered at some point in this sexual harassment?
No, man.
Okay,
not
just
one
checking.
of the provisions. Please, let me say this too. What we are doing here is to take this a little further. I mean, the essence of a parliament is for us to continue to amend our law based on circumstances, and as even courts conduct trials based on this new law, there will be the need for constant and continuous amendment based on the perception by the civil society and other sectors of the Nigerian society.
Fantastic.
We'll continue to make it better.
All right. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We appreciate your call. We're going to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll take more tweets. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we run off, we're going to take tweets from the previous topic.
Let me just take
Lots
this
of
one from the
messages.
previous topic first.
Yes.
Baba God's firstborn says, we were tutored here in Nigeria to live with fear and respect as the African culture. You mess up, even in your dreams, you are still dodging slaps, slippers, broom, and omorogu. But in the abroad, they sit and talk. I have to take that one.
Okay. I am Stretchy says, the African way is still the surest way. I mean, look at all of you on the show. Aren't you all products of Africa's style of parenting? And then PJ Comedian says, sorry, Oyinbo system is different from our own here. Abroad, if a child goes astray, there's a system to take care of him or her. Here, if a child goes astray, the system will show him or her pepper. So before that happens, Nigerian parents will rather slap the pepper out of you.
Let me take some of Yakub, then I'll come to you, YK. Okay. Yakub, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yeah, Mariah, good morning.
Go ahead, please.
And good morning to you on the studio. Happy birthday to you, Miriam.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Mariah,
much.
I hope Sister Nima is doing fine.
Oh, she's perfectly okay. Trust me. We spoke to her
Thank you very much.
recently. She's fine.
Mariah, I really thank Honorable Okoyemi Bamidele and the other co-sponsor of that very particular bill, including Neovia Magegi and the rest of the team. You see, but you said something very, very important. And then I hope they will consider that as time goes on, which is castration. Because a situation whereby an adult, a father, or people that is old, rape 3-month-old baby, I believe such person should be able to castration because what judgment are you going to give to that person? You send him to life in prison. At the end of the day, he may find his way out of that place again. So I believe they should consider that as long run. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Then I have a tweet from the last topic. He says, my question is this. Can a lecturer check a student of the university who he is not teaching? Nobody is looking at that. I think check, Marian says, means to toast. We didn't get to ask him that question. So
Yeah,
if
somebody was saying that, what if the child dies? What if the student dies? That's another issue. When you are being raped or sexually molested and something happens and the child and the student dies. Okay. So I'm not sure if that was considered in the bill, but something we'll ask the senator. Any more tweets for us as we wrap up?
Ashipa James says, there are several methods that are available in parenting, some of which include flogging, communication, hybrid of both. Just adopt the one that is most effective for your family.
Inspired by you says, I still ensure our culture and African values of respect, heritage, attitudes, and human relations with people is taught to my child and myself. Living is a positive example of fatherhood within the way I relate with others. The foundation is very vital with balance.
Let me take this call from Fatoki. Fatoki, are you there? Thanks for calling.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
And happy birthday to the lady there. Yes.
No, thank you. Miriam.
This is of sexual harassment. Now, this is I think everybody is just looking at, I want to take it from the angle of harassment generally, or abuse generally. There's a form of psychological abuse which is not necessarily sexual. For example, a lecturer comes into the class and says to a student, "You are going to fail this course no matter what you do." That's an abuse in itself. It's not sexual. So that child, throughout the space of that course, it will be demoralized. You get what I'm saying? And going to the issue of sexual abuse, it is two-sided. Nobody is looking at the fact that men also, or boys in university can be abused. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think you look at harassment generally, both sexual, psychological, mental, although sexual can bring about mental abuse too.
All right.
But
thank you very much for your...
So he's saying that there's some harassment that goes on in schools that is not sexual. So lecturer will say to you from the beginning, there's nothing you guys will do that will make you pass this course.
I went to an all-girls school. As a student, I did have a lot of where teachers, because I was Fela's daughter, would harass me. Not sexually or in any way, but it was, "Why are you always wearing a sweater? And some kuti, come here. Why are you always," And I found it really, and you would see that teacher coming, you just want to dodge because she was going to pick on you because of who.
We have to wrap up, but I know you wanted to thank somebody.
Yes, I want to thank someone, Moi Olua. She follows me on Instagram, Real Corn Cake. She sent me a cake all the way from Abuja. I'm really shocked. I'm surprised. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It's really lovely. Thank you.
That was very thoughtful of you.
Yes.
Thank you. What's her handle?
At Real Corn Cake.
That's Real Corn Cake.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Cakes. Very thoughtful of you. Thank you. Okay, that's a wrap, YK. Any tweets that is popping that you want to?
Oh, no. I haven't looked at the tweets, unfortunately.
All right.
Sorry, Twitterers.
All right. That's all we can take, guys. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.